There we go. Good morning, guys. How you doing? First to worst. Happy Labor Day. Where we celebrate the downfall of the American Labor Union with hot dogs. Browers for everyone. Exactly. It's exceedingly bullish. Suppity slurp. How's everyone's weekend going so far? I'm just pulling up some data and getting some stuff ready. Just give me a second here. Yeah. Oh, that's fucking useless. Okay, there we go. Let's see. 56. Oh, I need to change these. 55, 97, 72. Moved up a little. 55, 48. Word life. This is basic gherkinomics. Thanks, Major Gains. I want to celebrate Labor Day by working. Yeah, me too. Yeah. I was in a day-long stupor when I remembered the casinos were closed today. Well, half the casinos are closed. Gig work is dead. How am I supposed to make side money to buy your calls? I don't know. What kind of gig work are you doing? We're gonna see what happens with Jolts and leave Greece. I'm so bored now. Yeah, Jolts should be pretty interesting this week. I don't know how things are going to turn out after the revisions. I think the revisions apply to the forward data set too, but I'm sure they'll make everything miraculously look beautiful. It'll just take them a couple extra hours to issue the report, right? 96.54. Oh, down. Ooh, like right at the same spot. Line up with social media on Reddit being bullish on my timeline again. Okay. Is everyone bullish? Because we had a 30-point candle into close on Friday. Everything revised down, but still not going to revise how they calculate. This data may be prone to errors. Good afternoon. No? No what? What do we want to go over? I don't really have any ideas. I spent last night in the emergency room to find out it was going to take like another 6 hours for me to see a doctor. So I was like, fuck this, I'm leaving. I'm here now. The party can start. Excellent. That's what we've been waiting for. And just tell us the future like usual. Mm. Are you okay? I don't know. Maybe. Don't you get rich people medical care? I do. I do. But I don't really feel like going to that hospital. It's on the other side of town. So I went to the one closer to me and just hung out with the crackheads in the lobby. What's up, Cobra? I thought I saw you. Are you always in the hospital? I have like a kidney infection. Well, at least that's what my doctor said. No, it's in my back. It had to be significant if you sought emergency care. Well, no, I was supposed to go to the emergency room if I still had a fever after 2 days on antibiotics. And I still had a fever. So I was like, oh, fuck. I gotta go to the emergency room. And, yeah, it was just taking too long. So I left. Maybe I'll go to the private one later. Do you still now? Probably. I don't know. Is Mag 7 gonna rip this week? It's a distinct possibility. I think it'll still be dependent on jobs data, and we're probably waiting around for that. There's no like major shift in positioning or anything. So I mean, like the upside is still kind of weak. A little bit better long term, but I mean, there's almost no delta past 5650, which we didn't even manage to get on Friday. So that's still resistance right now. Dysuria and lower back pain. If you have pelophrenitis, you're feeling real bad. I'm alright. It feels like you got punched by a cement block in your backside. No, it occasionally just feels like someone's stabbing me under my ribs with a knife. You're no good to us, Dad. Say the market should be crashing like a proper weekend stream. Sign off and go. Pleurisy? Hmm? No. I'll be alright. Don't worry about me. I hope you got some sleep. Yeah, more than usual, just because it's hard to stay awake. We literally leech off your brain. We're gonna worry about you. Hmm. That sounds unhealthy. I'm worried. I don't trust JFresh to run Gamma Strike without you. I wouldn't either. Yeah. He'll be charging you guys triple in no time. Anyway. Yeah, so but we can talk about stocks. I have something called Gilbert syndrome, where my liver makes too much bilirubin. Ah, Gilbert. Was Gilbert the first person to contract the syndrome? Isn't JFresh sick too? Yeah, he's been in like a fever dream all weekend. He has pneumonia. We're all gonna die. It's gonna be Dork. He's gonna give everything away for free. He'll just want to hang out in his yurt and smoke weed with you guys. And then the ultimate goal of the project, which is Dork being able to afford things, is gonna fade away. Dork is the man of the people. If Dork inherits the channel, we're fucked. But he's the heir apparent. We're actually killing you, making us gamma strike. Okay, so I mean, back when I was back when I was in my early 20s, I had a kidney injury from like MMA, and there's some damage. So if I don't stay really, really well hydrated, I can get kidney infections, which it appears I've gotten. Um, because I forgot to drink water for like a few days. And now I'm on antibiotic, which doesn't appear to be working. Nurse wife said maybe a UTI, but also a possible kidney failure. Hold on. All right. What the hell? I was drinking other shit like tea things. Nurse wife said that maybe a UTI, but also a possible kidney failure. I had pneumonia once and it made me tired, so I wanted to lie in bed, but nurses made me get up and walk around so my lungs wouldn't fill up. Is Dork your future kidney donor? I have no idea. The same random bathroom antibiotics? No, they've got me on Cipro. I don't know if we're a match, but he knows the terms of getting my kidney. Yeah, if you've expressed it. Are they seriously forecasting 0.5 rate cuts this month? Yeah. I'm on Doxy. I would have preferred that. Less weird side effects. All right, give me 2 seconds. I gotta grab something real quick and take my temperature, and then I'll be right back and we can go over Mag 7 stuff. All right, I'm back. More ibuprofen. Greeks and Bears just show the chat what the horse thermometer looks like. I don't have a horse thermometer. I just have one of those ones that you like stick in your ear. What's up, Nuke? All right, what do we want to do? Memes, Mag 7. What do you guys want to look at? GME ran up a bit, although it looked like it was going to. Got stuck at Gamma Max. Bitcoin, yeah. Tips are getting closer, but they may not cross over. There's still a little bit of negative ARB going into Mondays, so I still think that $25 target I had from last Friday is probably valid. Right there. Yeah. Upstart started to fail. I don't think it's, or maybe it did fall back below Gamma Max. Bitcoin. Wait, you actually want me to look at Bitcoin? Or are you like, I don't know if you're serious. Class is quiet and awkward. So Upstart looks like it failed to close above Gamma Max the last few days, and Gamma Max is now rising at 45.96. Uh, Quite a lot of Gamma fell off on Friday. Went from 8 million down to 3, and then total delta has been declining for about 3 consecutive days. So that looks like it might be starting to turn around. I don't know if any of you guys are long the puts on that, but if you have some theta, that might pay out. Gamma neutral's at 35, so it's about $7 of range or so before it finds support. Careful though, because if labor data is good, it could continue to run. Is Chewy barking up the right tree? I could take a look at that in a second. Nurse wife wants to know temp low grade, like 90, like 98 to 99.910. Well, I think I hit 100.3 at one point. It's not right now. Right now it's like 98.9. No, nobody gave me an antibiotic sensitivity test. I've taken Cipro before with no side effects, though. I know it's loaded with them. Yeah, I could touch on Tesla. If CSAR happens due to pressure from the worker strikes in Israel, oil prices should continue to fall. I don't know about that. I don't think a ceasefire is going to happen. The government's pretty much fucked themselves. Like they have to, they kind of have to keep doing what they said they were going to do, right? Don't get Lime, guys. Well, that sounds terrible. Carvana dump. Yeah, we can look at Carvana too. All right, so Fubo got shorted after the little run up due to the lawsuit news. Seems to have found some support here, around $1.60, which is a new support, but it's held over the last 3 days. I will say that it looks like it's starting to get a little bit more covering. We're moving into the rest of the ETF FTD period for like R2K, R1K stocks this week. And that'll carry out for through the 5th. 6th technically, but most of that loaded on the 3rd and 4th. After which, this might not have a lot of room to run. I will say, however, if labor comes in strong, it will probably get support from R2K. What was the next one someone will look at? Oil. So, I mean, I think oil found a little bit of support here after the sell-off. Things are starting to consolidate, and it's slightly bullish consolidation out here on the daily. From a macro perspective, I mean, I think there's still supply deficits. So regardless of the ceasefire, which isn't creating any of those supply deficits, um, I I think unless OPEC turns the tap back on, oil prices are likely to remain at least somewhat elevated. Um, Carvana. Um, yeah, so Carvana started to fail 50 on Friday, and 50 is major support. I've been waiting for 50 to break down for a little while in order to get an entry here. Gamma neutral is getting closer to spot. The gamma head just fallen off pretty significantly. Over the last 3 days, it's moved from 67 million down to 8.23. So that's dropped off pretty hard, and dealer delta's fallen from about 2 billion down to about 1.3 billion. So the only thing I don't really like is the amount of support we saw in like the 147 range on Friday. It did close a bit higher. I would say that it's possible it gets like a weak bounce, maybe back up to like 160 uh, before failing again. If it does give up, if it does give up 150 though, it's got a pretty straight path down to 140. If it fails 140, there's really no support left on it. It could go all the way back down to like 115. What's the Chewy? It's Chewy hit Gamma Max. Looks like most of the call interest is right around 30. There's a little bit of support at 27.50. Didn't actually test Gamma Max. Gamma Max is 31.37. A lot of options interest fell off on Friday on this one too. And I guess weekly interest could come back in, but it looks like there's been quite a bit of profit taking, so it may pull back to that 27.50 level, and then if it loses that, it has very little support back down to like 20 or so. Earnings were good, but revenues were kind of flat. Tesla. Like a series of bump and run reversals here. Hmm. Last bounce was kind of weak, but this one was a little bit higher. Let's see something. Gamma's actually picking up a bit. And since it's bounced off of GN on, was that Wednesday? It's been picking up more out of the money call interest. So Tesla actually looks a little bit bullish. maybe a move back to like 233 would be where I'd look. Let me see. Yeah, there's a decent amount of call interest to the upside out to 230. It's not quite back above 215 yet, though. So 215 is major resistance. If it gets above 215, it's got some room to run. And that would be like 230, 233, right around there. Carvana dump. FSLR. So FSLR still has a shitload of positioning out in September on the bull side because for some reason nobody took profits. But that like at the money gamma is really low. Yeah, it looks like it would have a hard time pushing up, but there's a ramp out to 250. And if it hit that ramp, then yeah, it could get some. It could probably pick up some additional exposure that could move it higher. There's definitely still call interest all the way out to like 300, 360 on the chain. Um, hmm. But there's some upside resistance at 230 and 240, so I would want to see. I would want to probably see both of those get cleared before I had any faith that it was going to continue up. But the rounded bottom looks decent, right? I mean, it's starting to reverse. So I would watch 230, maybe take a small position, and then 240, maybe something bigger. If it loses 220 again, though, not good. It's not about being allergic, it's about killing the bug. She says above 100.3 is when you start monitoring, thinking about escalation. Yeah, I know. Apple, Nvidia. Yeah, so actually, Apple finally started to show some signs of weakness this week, and uh, I mentioned that in Pickle's picks. It does take a very, very long time for the Apple chain to kind of give up any ground. And so usually when positions bleed off, it's pretty slow. There's still a ton of out of the money interest on it to the upside. I think those calls are becoming, significantly more and more sold. But it does present a risk. Right now, for things to get bearish, it still needs to lose about 220. Um, and I would say it's probably going to stay fairly well supported here, but that does open up the opportunity for selling options on it as price kind of stagnates and realized vol declines, which it has been doing. You just got to be wary that it does have technically have room out to like 240. What's your take on the latest Disney Direct TV situation? Potentially good for Fubo's legal case? Probably. Carvana's a lot less risky if it fails 50. It's just that the like gamma's really high, right? So, well, higher. A lot of it fell off, but it's still high. It's like elevated and positive. So, I mean, the problem with being in the position like that is, as it tests support, it can bounce really hard because gamma's so positive. And it's hard to push the market maker out of that position. So if it fails 150, much better chance that it continues down. 140 is the next major test. If it loses 140, it can just tank like down to like 115. So layers of confirmation give you, you know, layers of considering your risk and entries. Why is what? Why is EPAM back on the menu? Just because it's holding 200? Stop chasing shit you already played. Typical pickle jar. What's your quick thoughts on IEP? Absolute piece of shit. And what would be something I would consider before holding this semi-long term? They have no investment capital. They pay out all of their money. So the only way to get, uh, well, to add to their growth investments is to issue shares or take on debt. This is the problem with MLPs. They were really popular for a while. When I first started working, everyone fucking loved MLPs and they were overperforming everything. But over time, they turn into big bags of shit. So I mean, it's up to you. But I'm not a huge fan, especially late life ones like IEP. Also, I mean, why would you want to own a company that's been accused of fraud like 500 times? Like, just because they can beat the fraud charges doesn't mean they're not true. Apple and Nvidia. Oh, okay, so we covered Apple. Um, so Nvidia is actually in a bit more unstable range. Slightly weaker, but still well supported at 120 and 110, especially 110. Um, I would say if Nvidia loses kind of the mid range between those 119, 110, like 116, um, it's probably gonna fall back towards that $100 range that it was trading at not that long ago in the correction. So I mean, obviously, everyone got burned on earnings. I could get rid of that now. Um, but yeah, it doesn't look particularly strong here. It is Nvidia, so be careful with it. But uh, even with the end of day pump on Friday, it still failed to close above major support, which I don't think is a great sign. I would still want it to drop a little more before shorting it. And then a breakout of 120 is supportive. So I mean, it's right at the flip point there. Just we're in a pump off Jolt, so we're rolling it. Wouldn't be worth it. Bear call spreads on what? Oh, on Apple? How are we able to see when event vol is priced into options? Like, for example, we had event vol before NVIDIA earnings, and the options got hit hard overnight on the crush. So it starts pricing up pretty slowly, well in advance, like 45 days out. It'll start like IV at the money options will start increasing, and then well, actually more like this, and then it'll peak at earnings and then crush, right? And yeah, you can play that, but it's not always profitable to do so. Like playing the short vol is very dangerous. Playing the increase in vol into earnings is decent. I get some alpha off that pretty frequently. You guys are well aware of that. I put those plays in pickles picks all the time where I'm like, I'm gonna go long this until earnings and then I'm gonna exit it, right? pump up Jolts or rolling wouldn't be worth it. That's reasonable. Wednesday. Jolts is on Wednesday. Do you think sentiment is lightening on INTC and that investors are now pricing out some of the future dividend pessimism? Is it going to bounce back after it's sold off hard as fuck? Probably a little bit. I mean, they're still the primary beneficiary of the CHIPS Act, right? But I think it may take a little while longer. There was news on Friday, I assume. Okay, so they've got a big cost-cutting plan. People will be bullish on that until they realize that even if they cut costs, they still don't know how to run a company. So that might be worth a play. This is a decent gap there. It's not very good, but let me see how options interest shifted on it. Oh yeah, I can show you guys this shit. This is cool as fuck. All right, so we're gonna take a look at Intel's options chain. Hold on. Yeah, let's whip this shit up. And we can go back to Wednesday, kind of see how things changed since Wednesday. Let's look at the September expiry. So looks like those out of the money calls printed, and we picked up some out of the money interest, 225, 223, and then 24, $25 strikes moved up a bit. So yeah, there's a little bit of bullish momentum building up there. Let me take a look at OI too. Twenty-ninth. Yeah, it looks decent out to like 25. Beyond that, I know there's a lot of like leaps out here, but I don't really know if those are gonna. Oh, oops. Uh, Looks like some interest out in October. Some of the out of the money stuff's leaps, so there's like leaps out at 30. Those are probably pretty heavily sold, but almost all the out of the money stuff's gonna carry some Vega. So if it gets above 25, it could move pretty hard. But that's like almost at gamma max right now. So it needs to pick up more short dated positioning. Holy shit, what a cool application is that? And whose dick does my wife gotta suck so I can access? Actually, your wife. That problem was solved well in advance of the question, Carl. I just wasn't aware that you look at past data. Well, yeah, if you have the infrastructure to store past data. Who made the symbol search way better? You did. Now I don't have to embarrass myself switching tickers manually with a mouse. I don't know if I'd want long-term exposure to it. I feel like I'd rather be on board with the local hype train than than bet on them actually successfully implementing any kind of price saving or cost saving programs. What's up? The app is incredible. I finally was able to sign up with a new payment. Awesome. Spy's gonna be going back into the sauce. Well, it could, yeah. Look at Spy. I mean, it's pretty well supported here. Right? Um, there's a decent amount of positive gamma to the downside. The move up end of day Friday got it out of that range where price is really unstable. But yeah, I would say it could stay up here. It's gonna be very hard for it to move higher. Like exceedingly difficult. So if we get upside, it's gonna be really grindy and like gappy. Yeah, like overnight gaps or really grindy intraday upside. What a woman. Yes, she is, Carl. All right. So we can break out SPX. Looks like the Girk Wiener model is pointing to weekly close somewhere around 56.75. So not a lot of bullish expectation packed in there, although slightly more than the bearish expectation. Do you guys want me to? Here's a question for this thing. So I figured out how to get it to track uh, the last candle, and I could get this to update every day, or I could keep it at that exact date, and you can track the probabilities as they change. Which would be better? Do you want it to stay like 5 days ahead at all times? Or do you want it to get shorter as time elapses? Both? Can't do both. You gotta pick one. TradingView can't handle the calculations to do two. 5 days? Shorter than? I'll just leave it at 5 days ahead. Otherwise, it's inconsistent. Yeah, yeah. Well, when I leave it in place, I have the look back decrease, right? So it looks on a shorter and shorter increment. But yeah, I'll just leave it at 5 days. How does 8 days look? More than five. This is 5 days on the 1 hour candle. I can lower the time frame and change it. So you can get like day to day based on the. But right now it's on the 1 hour candle. And this is what I built it around. So I feel like this is where it's most accurate. Or, well, yeah. Accuracy is a good question. Not necessarily a real thing with this, but I've known an engineer that could do both. He's on vacation, Carl. If JPEG doesn't cut rates and holds again, market's gonna go full bull. Well, probably, yeah. Um, you're on vacation. So a couple things will happen if JPAD doesn't raise rates, and one of them's already starting to a little bit, is that the or cut rates, is that the 2 year and the 10 year are going to keep moving up. The 20 and 30 are probably going to continue up. If no rate cut comes from the September meeting, they're probably going to move up really rapidly, and we're probably going to get like another crash in the 10 year yields, which we've had a few times now. And we'll probably move back deeper into the inversion and possibly see, a little bit more leverage applied in the carry trade, which we're already seeing, right? You know, our recent bout of volatility reversed, right? We're starting to see at least the longer end of the carry still levered up quite a bit, which means, people expect rates to rise in the top end of the curve in the US. But even like the 6 month is up. So there's some people at least hoping that Powell's not going to cut rates. And like I said, everybody in the market is kind of split, right? Like you have people that are long tech that are betting inflation's going to come back and Powell's not going to cut, right? And they don't really care about the rest because they just care about the leverage and shortfall, right, and the dispersion trade. And then you have the people that are trying to long like small and mid caps that are betting that the economy stays strong, and that rates get cut, right? So the economy stays strong, rates get cut, soft landing. And then you have people that are long bonds that think the Fed's done too much and we're going into a recession. And right now, all three of those positions are kind of levered up a lot, and so we're seeing a lot of discorrelation between, like we're seeing bond yields drop rapidly while the SPX surges higher. It's insane, right? Very, very rare for these to not have like a spillover effects afterwards. That's not pretty. Funny I snuck the code in last night. Yeah, I saw what you did when you were supposed to be hanging out with nerds on the internet. I don't have ASTS options. They would just want to lever up all of it, ideally. There's just more risk on the short end. In regards to inflation, I legit feel like oil and maybe something like wheat and sugar will be the best performers over the next 15-ish months, no matter what direction we go in the market. Probably. I don't think OPEC's pulling back their cuts, and that means that we're going to have supply problems. So risk based, got it. Yeah. Well, it was like when fears hit, that Japan was moving forward with their rate hike, right? That narrows the spread fastest at the front end. So the short paper is where the risk is most pronounced because they're using the short paper to cover the cost to carry on the long end. And so if risk were to blow up, well, when risk does blow up, like it did when VIX hit 60 and Nikkei crashed, right? Or flash crashed. That's because the short paper is blowing up. It's not the long end of the curve. So right now, this tells you that they feel way safer levering up the 10 year, the 20, the 30. They don't feel as safe levering up, the 6 month or the 3 month. Yeah, there's commodity ETFs. Most of them are kind of lacking. Probably futures is best if you really want to be exposed to that stuff. Very risky, and you should understand how that market works before playing with it. I mean, right now, the 3 month US Treasury bills pricing in almost two full rate cuts, right? And, a few weeks ago, this was at like 5.4. So, it's gone down almost 300 points, or exactly 300 points. Whereas, the 10 year I think it's only gone down like 200, 250. The Speaking of low cost security, how about the bear spread on Costco? Consumers weakening, and Costco is kind of an expensive place to shop. I think you're better off with Walmart or local wholesalers. Yeah, but I think I mean, Costco's consumers are less likely to be cash strapped in the early stages of weakening consumer. So I think they can continue to maintain their revenues for quite some time, where Costco will lose money quickly. And they've taken some steps to prevent this, but is in consumer discretionary. They sell a lot of discretionary merchandise, and that segment's not doing great, right? Electronics and consumer discretionary, like, the first thing that people with a little bit of money are going to do is not buy new toys, right? And if they're not buying new toys, that's a big chunk of Costco's sales. I think that's where they would get hurt. I don't think we're there yet, but yeah. On the food side, and on their wholesale side to businesses, I don't think that business is going to change substantially. How much of that their current valuation is pricing in those, that discretionary spending on durables? Probably about like 10 or 12 of their forward PE could get wiped out on a couple rounds of negative earnings. But I think the rest is really durable. I was long Costco for most of 2020, 2023. I think it was a pickles pick, but I went long Costco at like, it's like 480 or something like that. I got out of it around 800 because I thought that was ridiculous. 900's absurd. I would expect that it could return to about 7 or 6 in the long run. It depends on how hard the consumer gets hit too, right? I mean, if middle upper class people really have to start pinching pennies, then yeah, I can see Costco memberships getting cut. But you're talking about like an entire class of people changing their entire lifestyle at that point. Um, and you're looking. I mean, that's only something that would happen in an extreme recession, like a lengthy, drawn out recession with very high unemployment. I think that Costco probably sells way more durables than Best Buy or Amazon. I would imagine that they're, 20 by 20 foot section of televisions probably outsells most Best Buy stores. Durable? It's something that doesn't expire. Appliances, electronics. Some electronics. Some aren't considered durables. What's the case for rate cuts and a second wave of asset inflation? Well, that's likely to come on the back of rate cuts because, well, we're probably going to get inflation because Yellen's going to have to issue less short-term debt and more longer-term debt if J-Pow cuts rates. Um, and if she starts issuing coupons, we're probably going to see the front end of the curve move down and the back end of the curve move up. But you know, we're already pretty much at our debt ceiling, right? Well, no, because we've technically uncapped it, but the risk of our long-term debt is there. And if she starts issuing debt at the same rate at higher maturities, um, we're looking at the potential for not only inflation to spike, but for a downgrade in our debt. Are we kind of at the midpoint of a recession already? Yeah, I would say so. It's getting less subtle. And more people are feeling it, right? It's spreading out from the poorers who are just always poor, so everyone ignores them. Yeah, we could talk about it. I have credit spreads on it too. I've got some time to expiry, but it's moving up to the higher, a little bit higher range. This is kind of like the peak of its gamma. So it did really well this week, but there's really no more options interest beyond this right now. It's at gamma max, slightly above gamma max. Some of the delta started falling off last week, and a little bit of the gamma fell off, but it could probably still take a little while longer to pull back down, unless we get profit taking here, which is possible. Um, there were a lot of shorts on 3M, and so those got blown out pretty hard. Um, Things get bearish on it back below 30, but it's still very far away from that right now. And 3M, most companies like this, like big dividend stocks, are not super influenced by their, um, not entirely influenced by their options chains. The effect of the Greeks on the price is less significant. 1 second. All right. Let me see if the guys want to hop in on their day off. What's up, Dork? Hey, man. Hold on. I can't. I don't think anybody can hear you. I don't think anyone heard any of that, unfortunately. Sometimes. I liked it. How's your mom? It sucks. No. I'm trying to figure out how to get you hooked up to the Discord. I don't know why it's not. Weird. I haven't tried putting it in my butt. Maybe it's... They are... trying to get me to say bearish things, I think. Okay. What the actual fuck? Now say something?
Penis, penis, penis.
There we go.
Yay! I'm glad that was
Perfect.
the first thing that Discord listeners heard.
Yeah, it is. It's working.
Nice. Yeah, why wouldn't we just go to all-time highs really quick?
That's what I figure. Although...
Yeah.
I predicted that last week,
right there.
and Bulls couldn't get it up, which was annoying.
You know, the one annoying thing about this whole entire thing is that we stopped short of the perfect price for a top for the next 10 years by 2 pennies. Come on, Bulls. We just need 2 more cents.
Oh, what?
56,
To get back
69.
to get back to the all-time high?
No, just to get to 56, 69, 69. I mean, it's perfect, right?
It would be. What was our prior high?
That was the prior high.
Oh, yeah. It was 6. Yeah, it was 67. That's right.
Yeah, those fuckers, dude. They totally gooned me.
Yeah.
It's okay. How do you feel about GoEB going above $1.50?
I mean, I'm happy about it, but I still have a bunch of theta on my puts.
Yeah, I sold some of the $1.50 puts because I was like, dude, this thing could drop to like $1 and I'll still be green.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it went above $1.50, so now I'm not going to get assigned. Now I'm kind of bummed. But whatever.
Did you want to get
It's all
assigned?
good. What's up?
Do you want to get assigned?
I mean, if I get assigned anywhere, like down to like, I want to say $1.15, I can make out with a decent amount of profit as long as I can sell in time.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
sold $1.50 puts for like fucking 40 cents. They were ridiculous. Like, how do you not sell those fucking puts? Like, unless this thing's going to $1, which, I mean, I think they're still like a functioning company.
I
Like,
mean,
they're
well,
not filing chapter yet.
that's an awfully positive outlook.
Yeah, do you think they're going to be defunct in the next 6 months?
I think there's a really good chance that they could go defunct. But I think there's so much big money riding on it that they might just seek to like replace management. However, they might do that as a private company too, right?
Ugh. If they go private, I hope they buy me out. Actually, I don't have any shares, so I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I
No,
mean, if I get
go
assigned and it
EV.
goes to like 60 cents, I'll be pissed, but who gives a shit? Like fucking 35, 40% yield on fucking puts, dude. Like, come on.
It's ridiculous.
Tasty. Um. Anyways, market, huh? Yeah, it's doing stuff.
Yeah, so well we have some big data this week. Not that we didn't last week, but I think labor is probably the most important data set right now.
Do you think it'll determine whether or not the 210 de-inverts?
The 210 keeps de-inverting on its own.
Has it de-inverted yet? I don't think it has.
Mm,
It's just sitting there right on the cusp of doing it.
it's crossed like on lower time frames. It's crossed over a couple times.
That doesn't count. That's just financial gooning.
The market freaks out every time it does.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just teasing itself ever closer to completion. I don't know, man. I think it'll de-invert if labor data comes in just even a skosh weak. It's gonna de-invert,
Probably, yeah.
and
But
that's gonna be
if
that's
labor
gonna be
data
fun.
is weaker than it was last time, we're also probably in a recession. So it's
Almost.
uninverting for all the wrong reasons.
Well, I mean, we always kind of knew that would be the case, right? I mean,
Yeah.
considering the rate path we've been on and everything.
I mean, there's no doubt that 2 years or a year and a half above 5% rates is going to do some serious damage. It just takes a very
Well,
long time for any of that damage to be realized.
well, I mean, like the part that is doing damage though is not necessarily the Fed funds rate itself.
No.
It's just the way that the market positioned itself around the Fed funds rate that's going to be doing the real damage. So, I
What
mean,
are
if they
the
had if they had jacked rates up to like fucking 7%, then yeah, I would say the rates would have a direct correlation to the weakening of the economy. But at this point, it really has to do with how we raised rates enough to just be inflationary, and then at the same time, what the financial system did in response was just lever into it and crush Japanese yen, and then force them to raise rates and collapse that spread.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the damage was going to be done no matter what. And now with rate cuts being priced in, that spread is just going to start collapsing itself as the U.S. economy weakens, and then the real damage starts because then credit's really going to actually tighten, which is the one thing that J. Powell wanted was to tighten credit conditions, and he did not get it. And now he's finally about to get it, but like you said, it's going to be for all the wrong reasons, and he's just going to have to fucking absolutely put the hammer down when he cuts rates, and you just take that spread and completely flip it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he does that, he'll get financial conditions to tighten, but they're not going to just tighten immediately, right?
They might.
Well, and the asset bubble is overinflated. So, yeah, nobody wants to lend U.S. dollars at slightly above the rate that they're borrowing them, right? And that's why the carry trade's so incentivized. And credit is going to dry up, but it could still take a while before like corporate yields start moving up to like 5, 6, 7%.
Yeah, it all depends, right? It all depends on how the giant leviathan ends up, kind of shaken out.
True.
'Cause there's a world where this is not done very smoothly, right? And there's some bumps in the road for the leviathan. And if that happens, then credit conditions are going to tighten just purely out of risk aversity, a risk averseness. So, I
Hmm.
don't know, that thing, right? People are going to start getting worried because people are going to start getting freaked out because if the carry trade unwinds a little faster than people expect, and some institutions are caught off guard, those institutions that are caught off guard are just going to have to demand a shit ton more in the current lending environment.
Yeah.
That'll create some stress and dislocation.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot of issues that are going to come with that. There's going to be lower liquidity in the treasury market. Yellen's going to have to move issuance over. We kind of talked a little bit about that earlier. Um,
It all sounds like credit tightening to me.
yeah, yeah, it is. But
So
inflation's probably going to persist and possibly will get worse if conditions don't tighten immediately.
yeah,
So you are
yeah,
you are kind of right in the idea that he should probably just collapse the rates as quickly as possible. But if we move too fast, we start moving beyond the other central banks. That gets really, really bad for the dollar, right?
yeah. No, there's a very delicate balance to be struck here with how you lower rates, right? Especially like the thing is we're we see weakening like a weakening labor market. It's so strange, right? And yet economic growth still just looks like a fucking stalwart.
Mm, yeah. Well, that'll disappear with the issuance, right?
Yeah, definitely.
When Yellen can't
So,
get her trillion a quarter, she's gonna be really pissed. So is
oh
GDP.
yeah. Well, the crazy like it's just crazy. Like we so the funniest part, here's the funniest part of this whole thing, right? Remember what Biden said nonstop with the whole COVID relief bill that went out?
Yeah,
We raised taxes $0. We did not raise taxes. We did not raise taxes. And here we are 4 years later, and guess what we're just about to fucking do?
raise taxes.
Damn fucking right.
I mean, raising taxes without closing the loopholes that allows you to avoid them doesn't really make much of a difference.
Right, yeah. It's just ridiculous, right? And there's no real proposals to get our budget under control. You have Harris saying she's going to tax, unrealized gains above $100 million or something, or net worths above $100 million. Like that's just going to be like a fucking drop in the bucket, really, when you think about it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's corporate tax where it matters, and what matters more is corporate tax evasion, right? If every corporation in the U.S. were paying their full, 21% a year, um, then obviously the Treasury would be in a much better position.
you don't say.
But that's not being proposed. I don't see anyone proposing a full tax reform, and it would
No,
never
because they're
pass,
all
right?
long. They're all long spy, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, you don't do that. You don't make spy go down. That's terrible. And plus, when you think about how many pension funds and shit exist out there, like it's just a lose. It's political suicide to make the stock market go down.
yeah,
So yeah, they're never going to do that, and it's unfortunate, right? And it doesn't even like it's not even like a really a corruption thing necessarily. It's a political decision
it's in their
to
best
not.
interest, right?
Yeah, it's exactly. It's what gets you reelected is the stock market going and up and everybody feeling hopeful about being able to retire someday, however realistic that dream may be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if inflation's 10%, and the rate of return on the S&P is zero, you can still retire, right?
I guess. I mean, so long as treasuries follow the rate of inflation, then yeah, but that's not going to happen.
Gotta change the distribution. It's a function of the form. Mm. Even if we brought back like the wealth tax of like the 40s and 50s, it wouldn't do much. I think you really overestimate the amount of personal wealth held versus corporate wealth.
Or they really underestimate the absolutely monstrous size of our deficit.
That too.
Like our deficits are like mind-bogglingly huge. Like we think that Bezos is rich. Yeah, he is rich. But compared to our deficits, fuck, dude, he looks like a fucking chump.
The entirety of Bezos's life becoming the richest man in the world, and he's barely crossed a quarter of our yearly military budget.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, we spend a lot of money.
yeah, we probably should do less of that, or at least spend a lot less money that we don't have.
Oh God,
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, so with the revisions to labor, which I'm sure you saw, the 880 million jobs lost added. I would say that the that pretty much shows us that Yellen's best efforts at floating the GDP with government deficit spending has not been nearly as successful as the labor market or the labor data had us believe for the last year, right? Um, which I think we've speculated on plenty of times that that would be the case. Um, but that's going to mean that this set of labor data, especially unemployment, could be pretty impactful. I mean, not only for JPA's decision, which obviously matters a lot, but like things like consumer sentiment, it's going to affect lending and like short term credit facilities for consumers, right? I think that's where we're probably likely to see tightening first is like auto loans and credit cards.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely right. It's from the bottom up.
Yeah.
So
Which is going to be tricky because they've extended everyone just as much credit as they could feasibly want. And it's going to be hard to
yeah.
get them off of that teat. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But I think everyone's going to be watching, jolts and non-farms this week, and if there's signs of weakness, especially strong signs of weakness, we're probably going right back down to where we were a couple weeks ago.
Oh man.
And then, we start pricing in like 100 points of rate cuts, right? Like, oh, Fed has done too much, freak out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the well, I mean, that's just the inevitable next logical step in the cycle, right? Like the market still does these cycles.
Yeah.
This time is not different. Everyone's an idiot still.
Chase approved me for 2 business cards. When I don't own a business, get the card and start one.
Yeah, put your Twitter handle on it.
A hard landing
I
is
always wanted to do
healthier.
like I want to do a fun thing with my business card where I put a QR code on it to like a URL that just redirects to whatever I want it to redirect to. And so I just set it to like Barney's I Love You on YouTube or Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. And so people scan my QR code and then get Rick rolled.
You're never allowed to meet with clients. You can't rickroll people on your fucking business card.
Are you kidding me, dude? That'd be great. I mean, we got to think about the modern society, okay? They would appreciate the humor.
All right, maybe.
Yeah. No, the revision was pretty awesome to see because it really does show, right, that like all year long we're looking like jackasses, right? And then it turns out we're not jackasses, but we only get to find out in the ninth inning.
I feel like that keeps happening more and more often now, right? Like, I mean, not to toot our horns, but the collapse of the carry and then the revisions in unemployment have been particularly sweet for gloating. I haven't been
Oh yeah,
doing
for
nearly
sure.
enough gloating because I've been busy, but we all have, but we should be doing way more gloating
Oh yeah.
because
Well, Well, the
We
funny,
called the exact trigger for like recession fears and a market collapse a year and a half, 2 years before it happened. That's pretty good. I mean, slow and Burry-esque, but not as slow as Burry. Still faster than Burry. And I think that should be the slogan for our analysis.
I love
Still faster than Burry.
it. I mean, on July 23rd, JPOW, I think that was the day JPOW said rate cuts, and that's when I posted the meme of the dude holding the ball, and, and then the next day yields tanked and the market tanked, and then yields kept tanking, the market kept tanking, and then the carry trade collapsed.
Maybe we should be writing academic papers about the market collapse and not just posting memes.
Well, the memes are way more fun.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, no, we definitely got a decent amount of vindication. I wish Jay Fresh was here to revel in it with us, but it's all good.
This is why Dork can't run Gamma Strike. Why?
You know what, Cobra? Just for that,
I already started filling out his adoption papers.
take a second, Cobra. Just take a breath. I'll give you a second here.
I would have been very upset if I didn't make money on the market collapsing. Fortunately, I was able to, which was nice. And then
Yeah, I made some money too.
I went long yan when the Bank of Japan retracted their statements, or
How is the yen doing?
short
Holy,
yan rather. What?
yen is yen is looking spicy.
Yeah, yeah, it's doing quite well.
Wow. Ah. Dude, the market's just kind of fucking spicy right now. Now that I think about it,
Yeah,
like we're kind of ripe for some weird stuff to start happening.
you mean like a 50 point or 30 point candle into close on Friday? That was fucking bullshit, man.
Oh, it was the dumbest shit ever, yeah. But
ES is still having a really hard time getting above 56.69. Um, and it's still pretty far from its all time high. But the SPX is getting close.
do we have any data on Monday?
Today?
Or sorry, tomorrow.
Yeah, we have ISM manufacturing PMIs, but those aren't gonna matter much. Um, we have jolts on Wednesday, and then Thursday we have services PMI, which is going to be very important. If services PMI, like ISM services PMIs, drop into contraction, oof.
So
Rick,
yeah, we're probably gonna trade flat all week.
oh, because of the Rickroll business cards. You're right, Cobra. Never mind. You didn't deserve the timeout, but you're probably going to get another one.
Oh, why would I do something like that? That's just silly, Girk. I wouldn't time him out
Oh, look at
twice.
this. We're estimating non farm productivity up to 2.4% from 0.4.
Really?
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, quarter over quarter. So that's coming out. Actually, that's all coming out on Thursday next week. Non-farm productivity, labor costs, and then we have S&P and ISM PMIs.
Dude, they're price on non-farm productivity and unit labor costs. It looks like they're pricing in AI, whatever that means.
Yeah,
Literally, they're saying costs are going to unit labor costs are going to tank, and non-farm productivity is going to fucking bedoink super hard.
yeah they're pricing in the best case for AI doing stuff. Um, but the revisions in the labor data showed that wages were up. How the fuck could unit labor costs be down?
Because they're firing everybody and replacing them with prompt engineers.
I mean, if unit labor cost drops that fucking hard, they've already fired everyone. Unemployment's
Yeah.
gonna explode.
Quit telling me that the credit market's going to tighten, Greg. You're getting me all hot and bothered again.
I'm sorry, but I mean,
I already have
nothing
bases.
looks better. It's not like a tiny collapse in the carry trade, and which they're still levering up changed anything, right? Like that's what I always love is like anytime something bad happens, they always try to sell it as like this one-off event that doesn't carry forward like massive amounts of risk. Like the real
Yeah,
situation there is that short paper almost blew up and someone's hurting really, really fucking bad. Um,
just look at
and
RRP.
we're gonna see the effects of that. Yeah, RRP is exploding because they need the short-term liquidity. Did you see that tweet I wrote about how they overexposed themselves on short paper?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's that's gonna be rough. That's still there. It's I mean we're not seeing the effects of it with the market rising, but it's there lurking in the background. This is what happened with like Solomon and Bear Stearns as their short paper started to blow up and they had to start selling assets to cover their cost to carry on the long end. And then the dollar broke and money market funds were fucked and liquidity dried up in the short end and everything crashed.
Yeah, no one could get money to
Yep.
do money things
Anything.
like
Yeah.
money market.
I mean, there's corporations that rely on short paper for their payrolls and shit. They're issuing, like, major corporations are issuing tons of short term debt like that all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean it's also things like just even like cash settlements as part of their daily operations. I mean, like as part of the whole thing, right? You got to buy something or sell something. You're always doing like net 60, net 30, that
Yep.
kind of shit. So yeah, it's and then so once when you're not like able to get that net 30 financing for that shit, it's just it's a whole humdinger.
I mean that happened back in like '08. It was like Kroger couldn't issue money for payrolls
Yeah.
and like I think Walmart and there was a few other corporations that like just couldn't get their short-term debt serviced because there's no liquidity. Um and it's yeah, it causes chaos really fast.
What's the price you pay for a highly efficient global financial system, right? Is that you become the ballerina on the tip of a needle, or however that phrase goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just takes one small fuck up for things to get really bad, right? And, well, the thing is, it takes a small fuck up, that lasts longer than a day or two or three, and or it starts to spread even just a little bit, and is like unmitigated. You end up with just a cascading effect that damages everything.
Are they gonna hold us up until JPOW? Probably. Yeah. But
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot of
labor data can significantly impact the estimates of what JPOW is going to do, right? And we can go, what the fuck? Oh, goddamn! TradingView rolled the contract. Oh, I hate TradingView
discount.
so much. Yeah,
Uh, yeah, when they roll a contract, it's always super weird. Fucks everything up.
I'm gonna change the. All right, I'll fix that. Fucking goddamn assholes. All right. Anyway, yeah. I mean, ignore this because this is just the contract roll. But we're still right around here. So I mean, yeah, we that's if labor data is bad, we're gonna push up here to like 4+ cuts versus down here to less than 3. And if we start pricing in 4 or more cuts over the next like 3 to 4 months, um, it means that we're expecting a recession. That's what's getting priced in at that point, and this is where you get like risk off, right? Because if we go back and we look at what happened with the carry collapse, right? This is where the market started to tank, and we're still very close to that. You know, even almost a month later, you know, nothing has really changed. We're still pricing in quite a bit more than what would be a soft landing, and that's pushing back. You know, that's that bond market pushing back against the rise in equities. And I would say over time, the bond market is usually far more correct than the equities market.
I mean, yeah, like, well, we're
The,
we
the
are we are in
influence exerted by it is significantly greater.
like we are in such a crazy asset bubble right now. Like, I don't know what we've priced in the equity market is just ridiculous.
You mean where Nvidia beats earnings and then maintains guidance, and that's not good enough?
Yeah, exactly. It's just nuts. It's just absolute fantasy land that we're living in. And don't get me wrong, AI is cool. AI's been around for a few decades, and it's just been nothing but awesome because it's great. It does cool things like makes our video games look good, helps our goods get to us more efficiently, all that shit. But the hype around generative AI is just so pie in the sky. Like the
Yeah,
things that we're being promised by generative AI are absolutely impossible.
for the most part, yeah. I mean, we're being promised like near human intelligence in a matter of years, which is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, well generative AI is not general AI.
No, no, not at all.
It's far from it. And like we are nowhere close to any sort of artificial super intelligence or general AI from generative AI. Like Jay Fresh always says, it's a fucking parlor trick.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it's without getting into Jay Fresh's rant for him. I would say that it's we're I mean, I don't really even think that generative AI advances general AI, right? It's just people are so ready to just sell the farm because the AI overlords have come to replace them.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. And the funniest part was during the earnings call for Nvidia. Just Jensen like basically saying that like fuck what was it? He was talking about how like the return on investment for an AI company was fast. Like I forget how he was really describing it, but he was basically saying that like that's AI inflation. God damn it, I forget the exact verbiage.
He was talking about like compute inflation.
That's right. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
it's compute inflation. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I thought it was genius that he's using compute inflation to replace productivity, right? Because that's what the Fed does.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, you relabel the compute inflation as compute productivity, and
Yeah.
now good, right?
Perfect. Yeah. Look how productive it is.
Exactly, right?
Immediate return on investment. If you
Yeah,
buy
that's
an
what he said.
H100 and you put it in your closet, the next morning when you wake up, you'll have two of them.
Exactly. Well, no, you'll have an H100 and you'll have an RTX 3080.
What the actual fuck is compute inflation? Whatever he's smoking, I want some custom designer drugs. You can't afford them.
They were made by generative AI.
He's high on LSD and completely sober at all times. That is what
Been
he
there,
said.
man.
I know.
But yeah,
But like I told you guys a year and a half ago, when people stopped returning profits, they were going to stop buying Nvidia chips. And when they stop buying Nvidia chips, the whole thing just goes in the toilet because they're the only one that actually makes any money off this, right? So everybody's invested money into all this shit for over a year, and there's no fucking profits to be found anywhere except Nvidia. And Nvidia's now draining the profitability of all the other actually profitable companies. So it's the Mag 7 just cannibalizing itself.
I heard some funny shit on Twitter where
Mm.
some guy was saying that like, no, Nvidia is going to keep going up because all these major tech companies, one, they're going to be totally fine doing this, but what they're going to have to do is continue to develop and offer free AI products to keep up with the market.
So they just need to go broke.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I was like, well, okay, so these leviathans who make the market are supposed to offer free products to their customers that cost them inordinate amounts of money compared to like anything else. Like to what, improve their retention by 10%, if that.
What if Jensen's trying to turn us all back into a hunter-gatherer society?
Return to Monketh.
Yeah, after he single-handedly destroys all of the monopolies in the US, selling them something that doesn't exist. I mean, he's the Enron and well, it's the ultimate Ponzi, right? Because you get corporations buying into it instead of just individual investors.
Oh yeah, didn't Theranos do that?
Kind of, but not as successfully as Jensen.
That's true. Yeah, they just got like what, CVS?
Yeah, Theranos never got $100 billion out of Apple and Microsoft and Meta.
Thankfully.
I mean, if they did, they might have had a product.
No, I think they were pushing science that they knew did not exist.
Yeah, they were. How close
But
are we to a permanent correction? And nigh permanent, another year of trading at 4,500. I mean, I still feel like if the whole thing breaks down, we're probably going lower than that. Probably substantially lower than that.
it all depends, right, on how it's handled by the regulators.
Yeah. I mean, well, where are we get what deficit are we going to float the economy back to life in an environment
Uh,
where we cut rates?
the one where we get downgraded as a result.
The US is going to issue so much triple B debt.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And the problem with the US getting downgraded is that means everyone gets downgraded in the entire
No, that
world.
pretty much guarantees a shitty fucking decade.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I hope we're kind of wrong about, some of the stuff we extrapolate to.
Haven't
Even
been
though
wrong. Haven't been wrong extrapolating yet.
I know, right? That's the shittiest part is like you watched and you're like, wow, my cynicism was absolutely spot on. And it just makes you so depressed sometimes.
Yeah, I try not to think about that. What pisses me off, it makes me depressed, is when my cynicism isn't realized Monday morning, and not actually because I'm not prepared to hold those positions longer, but because everybody in the pickle jar buys like 5 DTE puts after our Sunday stream, and me and you together are always the most bearish. Like
Oh yeah.
every time JFresh is absent from the Sunday stream, we get it gets super dark. So, in light of not knowing that, let's talk about how the market's going to go up this week.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to go up this week now that
You
we have all this data. Maybe tomorrow.
you shut your mouth.
It might. I think it's going to be flat. Honestly, I think it's going to be just more super duper chop.
We don't get the all time high after that fucking stupid push on Friday.
We probably get the all time high, but then we're immediately rejected.
You know, there's like no fucking support out of the money for on SPX or SPXW.
That's why we get immediately rejected.
Yeah, it doesn't look
It's all going
good.
to come in on like ultra short dated shit, and then it's just going to all get sold the moment it touches.
Yeah. Well, we have some out of the money gamma on SPXW. Like a little bit at 675, 50. Yeah, we got some call positioning on Friday. Some dipshit sold short puts all the way out to like 56.70 for Monday. So they're definitely banking on it. Or for Tuesday.
Ugh.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to see. Um. Probably Monday morning what moves around, but futures has been pretty fucking flat. We've got really nothing Monday and Tuesday, which seems to me like the perfect opportunity to push up as hard as feasibly possible. Um, who won last week? Actually, I think you won, Dork.
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think you like nailed it. The fucking I know J Fresh and me didn't win because I was way too bullish. Um,
hey, look at that. I was pretty close.
yeah, we were like spot on.
Woo. It was actually a pretty good trend line.
It's not bad.
Gross. Because I just
I
literally
know
picked the probability.
I know what you did. Sometimes it do be like that.
Most of the time it do be like that though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go. I don't know. Like fucking. Let's see. Tuesday. I'm gonna go 675 tomorrow. Down to. 30. All right.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So open flat, and then uh, okay. End of day Tuesday, 56.70 on the penny.
End of day Tuesday. 56.70. Okay.
And then open Wednesday at 56.40,
Okay.
and then perfectly flat to end of week.
All right. I don't know what JFresh would pick here. He didn't tell
You probably
us.
would reference some obscure options data and then just say we're going straight up.
Okay. So I'll just give him Bulgurk.
Perfect.
All right.
And then he would reference how we're calling inflation productivity, and the new Keynesian Phillips curve is
Yeah.
just a circle jerk of data, and then he would say we're going straight up. I love it. Look at
Yeah.
that.
This is a good plot. I don't even dislike this one.
No, I think there's actually a little bit of validity to all these cases. I just think that we're not gonna break and hold above all time high.
Well,
That's my
yours
prediction
is
for that.
that Jolts is slightly weak and then nothing else is impactful.
Yep.
Mine is Jolts is weak, and then we rise expecting NFP to be better, and then NFP is also weak. And then JFresh is just everything's fine.
Yeah, Fantasyland,
Yeah.
which is
Which
actually completely
which is
valid.
probably the highest probability scenario.
It really is. Yeah, there's a possibility the market just completely ignores all the data,
Yeah.
or it'll ignore the de-inversion of the yield curve for the entire week.
I think if the yield curve uninverts there, we're gonna see that bump in for the forward yield on vol, which is problematic for long
Probably.
positions. Because we started to this week, like Friday, it like uninverted, and that's when we bounced. It like just for like a minute, it just went a hair over, and that's when we started ripping from the low of the day.
That was such a huge move into close.
I know, it's fucking
Just looking at
ridiculous. It's just so
it.
stupid.
Like, what was it, $20 in 9 minutes?
Yeah. It was, dude, it was like, look, like on the 1 minute, there was a single candle, this one right here, that went up 24 fucking points.
So
It was
crazy.
$13 in 1 minute.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, that was nuts. I kind
Just
of
goes to
saw,
show the anomaly is still alive and kicking.
so like I was looking at like our live data at the time, right? And I kind of saw something was gonna happen, but it wasn't really obvious where it was gonna squeeze. It was just that like everybody was just selling everything at the money, right? Like and like the Bears were fighting back and the Bulls were fighting back. And they were all just selling, like and the Bears were selling in the money calls and the Bulls were selling in the money puts. And then it just broke in favor of the Bulls and the Bears got fucking blown up. But that was nuts. I was just like, I don't know, this is gonna move hard. Like I didn't know where though.
Yeah, it's one of
I
those.
should have just straddled it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely one of those points where you kind of just want you do want to just be long vol because something's gonna snap.
Yeah, because it was like I think the at the money straddle was like a little over $500, and the call side of that would have closed at like $2,800 a contract.
God, that's so insane, dude.
Yeah, so it would have been like a $2,300 return on a zero DTE straddle.
It's like a 15 MTE straddle. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'd probably end up spending what, $7 on the whole thing,
If
or
you if
five
you
bucks on the whole thing.
so I think the like the 30, yeah, the 630 call was down to like 80 cents.
Ugh.
Yep. So you could have gotten a strangle for like $200 and it would have printed like 2,100.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
This market is fucked. We don't. No one knows. No one even like. The thing is this market has completely disconnected itself from the concept of risk.
Well, because there is no risk calculated in the intraday.
Well, there is, but the risk is that there is no risk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just no margin requirements, right? So risk doesn't exist until close. And as long as things close where you need them, then you have no risk.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah. Makes our data a
Uh,
whole lot better. I don't mind that aspect of it, but still annoying.
Yeah, no, there's part of me that wants this clown party to go on forever, but there's also part of me that realizes that this clown party going on forever means that you're never really going to know what the actual like fundamental value of the market is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, has anyone known that since like the last market crash?
No.
I mean, that's the fundamental value of the stock market in reality, right? Is where the market bottoms,
Yeah,
because that's where people are willing to put aside their fears and actually buy the fucker.
yeah, no. When blood's in the streets, right? And but the deals become good enough that well, the bottom it's usually like a little bit above the bottom in my opinion, but
Okay.
you're right.
Well, I
It's
mean,
I
so you
mean,
have in any market crash, you have a bunch of like dip buying moments, and they get blown up, right? So it's like they're just the 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 class of dip buyers that finally buy at the right time. So it's, I guess it's mostly luck, but it's, I mean, that's what it's worth, right?
I mean, it's partially luck, but it is. I mean, you have to be smart because if you're selling on the way down, right, you're taking a huge risk. If you're buying on the way down, you're taking a bit of a smaller risk, right? But the problem is, in order to buy on the way down, you have to have money,
Yeah.
right? You have to have cash that you're going to be able to use to buy the fucking dip. And when your bonds, I guess, even so, right, the bottom of a market isn't necessarily though like a sentimental thing, right? Especially like 2008, we just dropped rates straight to zero, and then what happened was everybody's fucking bonds mooned,
Yeah.
and so then they shifted over to equities.
Yeah.
So
We
I mean,
pump all the
even so, it would
leverage
never
on the
to
way
the bottom.
down when we cut rates.
I mean, so that's why I think that the fundamental like value of the market isn't necessarily at the bottom.
Hmm.
And it's just my opinion, right?
Do you,
It's somewhere along those lines though, but it's where you do get like bounces like in the
where
midst of the
where
crash.
near term variance in bonds and equities crosses?
No, it's just where you get those bounces during a crash. Those are people buying the dip, right? So those are good points to use as estimations that people have, like large participants have for fundamental value in the market.
Yeah.
And then it's also where you meet resistance on the way up before, breaking and continuation. I
Yeah.
consider those a decent metric. I mean, there's no perfect metric for it besides like, just taking the PE ratio of the S&P. But I mean, that's what all these people are doing, and they're doing all the legwork for you to be able to just sit there and go, haha, pretty Dorito do thing.
Oh man. So remember how I told you guys that like things distribute out, and then like at the tail end of the distribution, buyers jump in to try to save it?
Yeah,
Anyway,
look at that.
um 10-year recession means a long wait on returns. And thankfully I don't hold anything that long usually, so I don't have to wait that long. But if you're in
Let's
Vu and
not get into the
chill,
lost decade talk.
a 10-year recession is a nightmare. What?
Let's not get into the lost decade talk. All right.
All right, I'll try not to.
I don't want to. I can go there, but I've already gone there enough times. You all know how I feel about that and the likelihood of that happening.
Yeah, we're ending on a positive note where none of us are ultra bearish this week. And
Yeah,
that's where
everything's
we're
going to
gonna
come
wrap it
in.
up.
Everything's going to come in slightly weak, but not so weak that everyone thinks the world's ending
Uh,
and the market's straight up.
oh, I do have an announcement for all the pigeon whales who are signed up for the beta, or whether they're a pigeon whale or not. Beta signees, since you guys have all muted the pigeon whale chat while you were part of the pores, and now when I add everyone in there, none of you get the message. So we have successfully switched over our payment provider. For those of you that have already paid, you will be receiving refunds over the next few business days. I know some of you got them today. Um, in the meantime, anybody who has not signed up yet, check your inboxes, spam folders, and promotions folders for messages from Gamma Strike because you should be getting your payment portal links. If you have paid already, we are waiting a few more days before sending your payment links out while your refunds are processed. I don't want a refund. Too fucking bad.
This is involuntary, Cobra. Okay,
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
not.
want your refund either.
Yeah, we don't want to give you your money back either, but this is how it's going down. And so, if you've paid already, you will maintain free access for now, while the people who haven't paid get the opportunity to sign up. And in the next few days, we'll send you guys out a payment link after your refunds are processed, so that you can pay again. If you
And don't
if
drag ass on that because at some point we will revoke your permissions if you don't take the opportunity to give us the money, then you don't get to use the site while you don't pay us money at some point.
yeah, there'll be a window of a short window of leniency there, but yeah, we would have to take permissions from the account after we've issued a new link, but that'll be in a few days. Don't worry about that right now.
Yeah, TBD, but don't think you're going to be able to screw us.
Would you calm down? Obviously, we're not going to let them keep using the site if they're like, oh, well, we're not going to pay this time, right?
I
Ridiculous.
just well, the less bright of individuals in the pigeon whales may
You
think
mean
that they get
Cobra? You're
away
just talking about
with it.
Cobra. Cobra's going to try to extend that grace period as long as he feasibly can.
And for no reason too, because I'm sure Cobra's not exactly hurting for that cash considering he paid it. But he just wants to spite us because for some reason.
He values a cheap fuck, which I respect, except when he's a cheap fuck with me. But we'll just cut Cobra's permissions immediately upon issuing him a payment link.
Well, I mean, we already did cut his permissions, didn't we?
Oh, didn't you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently, he still has access, so maybe we should double check that.
You're right. Yeah. You know what I'll do is I will turn his password into a GUID every day,
Hey,
so he has to
now.
figure out his password brute force.
Ooh.
So he
We could
has access
just ask
technically.
him the hardest questions from the CPA exams over the last 20 years. I'm a paying customer. I mean, technically, right now, you've just shown good faith to pay, but we've collected no money.
Right, Cobra. I'm going to need you to answer if a professional band purchases a didgeridoo 5 years ago, what is its amortized depreciation if it was purchased with a credit card?
Ooh. Are we going to
So
factor?
now you
Is it a rewards
even
card?
to market.
Fully depreciated. All right. Anyway, that's how that's going to work. Just so you guys know. Is the public release still a few months out? Yes. We actually, due to the issues of the payment processor, we had to put aside back burner some of the stuff that we're working on, but we have a few more features that we need to implement before it goes live. And we'll be doing those over the next few months, testing them, getting the product production ready, and then we will have a public launch.
Woo!
Woo!
Dude, I'm stoked. It's going to be so fun dealing with all the fucking people who can't read trying to sign up.
I will say
It'll be
the
great.
last week has been unbelievably stressful because we went from like, oh my god, this is working, we're actually going to be able to do all this, to whoop, all the money we made is gone, and now we're doing it all over again.
Right, yeah, no, it was ridiculous. Yeah, we went from Lambos straight to food stamps like immediately.
There was never a Lambo.
That's true. Yeah, we went
You
from
need to go
Kia
shopping.
Sorentos to food stamps.
Is the public release still a few months out? Yeah, I can't wait. Awesome. Yeah, it should be pretty cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just wanted to leave that message with everybody, and I will have Pickles Picks out tonight, and I'll see you all for Market Open tomorrow. Later, guys.